Go, Chris.
Okay, so are we live? Have we got people on here?
We are live. People will be joining us shortly, I'm sure.
Okay, let's see. You can tell me when we should start the.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Elegance of Living Taster with Chris Hughes. Take it away, Chris.
Good morning. How are you, Michelle?
Awesome, thank you. So excited
Wonderful.
about this call. Oh,
I'm
what's
pretty
pretty
excited too.
exciting?
This is a different technology than I'm used to. You have to tell me, are there people there? Are there people out there? Is everyone logging in all right?
Well, that's a good question. People, if you are online, please say hi in the chat box. And we would love to hear your questions as Chris goes through this call. So if you are watching somewhere else, you can go to theeleganceofliving.com/free taster live, and you'll be able to get the link to come on and ask us questions. So Chris, tell us a little bit about the Elegance of Living. What is it? What are you offering people with this series? And
Great question. The elegance of living, it's interesting because I started working at the Antique Guild, to answer your question, about 3 years ago, and I had absolutely no interest or intention in working in the antiques industry. It sort of came around backwards. Just to preface that, though, antiques and elegance are not the same thing. People have an assumption about that, but it's not. But elegance really is the maximum impact with the lowest amount of effort, is the most concise definition I've ever found of elegance, and that came from Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. And when he originally asked me to come and work for him, my initial reaction was no. No, I have absolutely no interest in doing that. My response to him was, I think it would be very boring to sit in a shop all day. And he asked me again in another way and again in another way, and eventually he said, how about you come along and work for me for just a month to help me out? He had to really manipulate the situation to make it work. And I eventually said, okay, fine, just for 1 month. But actually, I think we'll probably need 3 months just to get any real progress. A month isn't enough time. And as I say, that was 3 years ago. But the choice for me to just say yes was in itself very elegant. It was a willingness to just receive and have something different show up and have change occur in my life just by saying, yes, okay, I'll have that. And the result from a very minimum amount of effort was amazing. So what this class is, of the elegance of living, is it's a place where people can see how that can add to their life. It's not about strands of pearls and bow ties and antiques necessarily, though a lot of the content of the series we're going to look at will be about recognizing things of value and wealth, and an education on sterling silver and gold and crystal and china and some of the, as I say, the fineries of life and what they can add to your life and living. But it's really about using the best that you have available to the maximum impact now. And today on the call, we're going to go through a few different tips and tricks that you can use just to add that to your life.
awesome.
So if I scroll over here, so let's use today as well, as this is our sort of free taster. We're getting people on the link. So if I go over the attendees, okay, cool. I can see that we've got Janine is on there, and then it's you and I. Is everyone finding the link all right? Do we have any feedback on that?
I've just posted it in the Facebook page as well, so hopefully people are going to be joining us really quickly.
Okay, cool. Very
Yeah.
good. All right, well, I'm happy to...
People will be able to see the replay as well. So
awesome.
so when you when you started working at the Antique Guild, were you into elegance at the time? Were you interested in antiques, things like that?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you should mention it because I always have been. I've always been interested in the better things of life, or the having the nicest things I could afford, or going to the having a meal a bit nicer than the average at least. It wasn't necessarily about spending all my money and having the very, 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 very best of everything because that meant something good about me or something that I was having a great life. It was more about having the things that added something to the experience then, about living now and what you can add to the scenario. Whether it be in the morning finding a little lovely little cup that I could use in the morning and have my coffee or tea be that much better of an experience. Like today I've got my little china cups, and we just have one or two of these in this particular pattern, but they're the size we like. They're very fine china. They're very nicely painted, and it's just about that. And adding to it this marvelous little silver spoon, which you can't see that well in the camera. I'll take pictures of items and show you later, but it's a little Chinese silver spoon of a dragon coiled around in the bowl of the spoon, and his tail wraps all up. So it's just a lovely thing to add to the experience. I mean, yeah, you could just reach into the dishwasher and grab whatever you've got in a regular old cup and away you go, but if you're really living, why not just okay, so it's Delaney saying that she's getting bombarded with people that can't seem to get on. So I know people can listen to this afterwards, but let's see what they need
Yeah,
while
I'm just restructuring the website as well so that they can find the link more easy as well.
Cool. What would it take for this to be elegant and easy?
Yeah.
We were dealing with sort of a extended level of technology here, and I'm so grateful for you, Michelle, because that's not necessarily my forte, shall we say. So what would it take for all of this to come together with ease? Oh, but look, everyone's coming on now. We've gone from 2 of us to 11 of us, so maybe I can just keep answering your questions if you want in the meantime and wait for more people to turn up. But yeah, I think if we're talking about what elegance of living is, and what elegance of living is to me, it really is that. It's about using the best that you have available to the maximum impact to richen the experience of living now. Whether that be, I heard Oprah talking about when she was first starting out, Oprah used to invest in having the best soaps for the bathroom that she could afford. And even if she didn't have a whole lot of other luxuries in life, she had that. And it was a time when she was starting out. She didn't have a lot of money. I'm sure at the moment the soaps are very, very nice that she has. But at that time, those little indulgences and luxuries, in her words, added to her life and living and meant something to her. It added to her experience of living. So that's what this is all about. And it's not necessarily about antiques and jewelry. It's about what works for you, what you like, and what you're interested in adding to your life. So that's really the target of this. What was that?
Absolutely. I mean, I know a couple of years ago I started to be willing to have more elegance in my life, and you've assisted me so greatly, and I was so excited when you asked me to be part of this series. The resources that you have on hand that you can point people to and things like that that you're going to be sharing with us in this series is definitely something that has helped me, assisted me. I shared the other day, I purchased a ring from our local cash converters for $85 and sold it for $999. Those sorts of things can contribute monetarily. And it's also the joy of having as you were saying, having those things in your life and living. I mean, I'm seeing the silverware and the beautiful crystal behind you. Um, you know, we've added sterling silver flatware set cutlery. For those of you that I never knew the word flatware before I met you, um, but
Yeah.
to me it's always been cutlery. So having sterling silver cutlery every day, you know, my kids and husband and I eat with sterling silver every day, and the joy I get just getting it out of the drawer, and the gratitude I have for it being in our lives just adds to the meal every day. And I'm so excited to see what else that you can contribute with this series. Um, I know there's lots of links online where people can get information on stuff. So what is it that you're looking to create with this series? What are you looking to contribute to people and open up for people with possibilities?
Well, I would really just like to invite people to have that level of nurturance for themselves. It's like you're saying about, you know, having that sterling silver that you use every day and what it adds to the experience of your meal. I'd like to invite everyone to have that, in whatever that looks like for them. You know, if they're not interested in silver, great. One of the things that we're going to do within this series is get people to start to look at what is it that really works for them. Like I know for myself, silver is what I collect. It's one of the things that I absolutely love. There's many things that I collect at this point, but it's one of the things that I'm very excited about, and I love hunting down and finding and adding to my collection. But we're going to sort of get people to start to look at what works for them, but also it's great that you brought up the story of the ring that you had found, because it's about that. It's about recognizing what really is quality and what's worth it, and adding that to your life, and whether it's to on-sell it and make some money out of it, or to just enjoy it for yourself. One of the things that Gary Douglas taught me when I first started working with antiques was that in every antique shop in the world, there's something that is vastly overpriced and something very, very underpriced. And I want to give people the tools where they can start to recognize it. It's like I've had several experiences in our store where that's occurred for us. I look back on 3 years ago when I first started working at the Antique Guild, and I'm sure I sold so many things that I just had no idea what it really was, or who the maker was, and how important that was, or how to quite recognize the marks. And every day I learned something new about that. But say, for example, we had an experience where we had this little salt cellar, and it I think it was, we were retailing it for $150. It was sterling silver and very nice with a glass liner, and you put your salt and pinch it out and, you know, season your meal with that. But it wasn't until we really started researching the hallmarks a little more and finding out, oh wait, who made this? Oh, it turned out it had been made in the 1780s by a woman who took to silversmithing late in her life. Her husband had died when she was in her 50s, which in the 18th century, that wasn't necessarily so good for the family. She took to silversmithing at that point and became the queen of London silver. Her stuff is so highly collectible and worth so much money because of her notoriety, first as the excellence of what she did and the rarity of it. It went from a $150 item to a $1,500 item in record time. And it was all just about, the difference was being willing to have a closer look and have more awareness about the item. Because that is a big part of it too. It's about really being present and aware with the things that you're looking at and working with. You know, so much around us we don't pay that much attention to. But if you're really astute and looking, you can find gifts and gems anywhere. You know, you can go to a thrift shop often and go in and have a look and see something that someone's discarded and find out, oh my God, this is actually really quite a special thing by an important maker and made with fine materials, and get it for just a few dollars. So again, it's not about spending lots of money on really fancy things to have the best. It's about being aware of what's around you and what you can add to any scenario to live even greater. You know what I
Awesome.
mean? I
Yeah.
can tell you endless stories about the places where I've seen this occur for people, and I just want to stop there for a second because I can see as well that lots of people are logging in now. We've got a lot more in the room. Feel free to use the chat box on the side of your screen, and those questions will pop up for us. But as well, if you've missed the first part of this call due to technical difficulties, you can go back to this. Is that right, Michelle?
Absolutely, absolutely. We will be posting out the replay link to you all once the full call is over. So, absolutely.
Cool. How does it get any better than that? So, for those of you out there that have never heard of access consciousness, that's fine. I am going to say a couple clearings that might just sound like a whole lot of strange, weird gunk to you, but that's fine. Just let it roll and see what shows up. So what have you made so vital about never having the elegance of living you could be choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and create it all?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So again, what is the elegance of living? I keep coming back to that same thing of it's about what you can add to any situation or using what you have available to you to the greatest effect. And what's fun for you in that? Like I've written here on the, was just sort of getting ready for this call and thinking, okay, so what are a few really easy tips and tools that anyone can use to have more elegance in their life? And again, it doesn't have to be about spending money. It can be about using your money to create more for you, but it's also about what do you have available now that can add to your experience of life. Can you go out in the garden if you have one and pick some flowers and put them in a nice vase that you have in the back of the shelf that you never actually use? Have you got, as I said, you know, a nice teacup that you could have your morning tea or coffee in, or a great spoon, or, you know, what have you actually got on the shelf at home that you never really pull out and use? And interesting tidbit of information. But in terms of sterling silver, one of the tricks to not having to actually go to the effort of polishing it so much is using it. If you're using it all the time and washing it after you use it, you don't actually need to polish it that much. The same thing with china. I've seen so many people with amazing sets of china that's stuck in a cupboard, covered in dust, and in fact, that's detrimental to the lifespan of the china. If you get it out and use it, because china's porous, you're using it and then you're washing it, you're prolonging its lifespan by continuing to hydrate it. If you stop using it, it often dries out, and you see all these cracks and lines start to occur on the top of it, and that's called crazing. We'll look at that more in depth later in the call about China and how it's made and what it is and all of that sort of things. But in fact, you're not doing yourself any favors by saving the best and leaving it on the shelf. And one of the things that's actually going to help is getting it out and using it, having fun with it, playing with it. You know, one of the things that gets me excited about all of this is I love laying a grand table. You know, having all my friends or family over, or just for myself, or myself and my husband, and having my crystal and my china and my silver and my linen and some candles and some flowers, and it doesn't even matter what we eat sometimes. It's more about the experience of the table. Like Andrew was teasing me last night because I found these menu card holders or name card holders. You know, you put one on each person seated at the table and write their name on it so they know where they're going to sit. And they're so cute. I'm so excited. They're little men's bowler hats and little ladies' shoes. And everyone, you know, you can choose who gets the ladies' shoes and who gets the men's hats. And of course, I had to buy 24 of them. And he's like, looking at me going, you're never going to use 12. Why? Why do we need 24? And I'm like, that is so irrelevant. I want the
Well,
option. I want to have
you may
more.
have, exactly, you may have like 11 women come for dinner, so you're going to need 11 ladies' shoes.
Or maybe
Whereas
they
you,
like
or
men's
maybe the
shoes.
opposite way around. So, who knows
Exactly.
what combinations you'll require.
Exactly. It totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep going through these tips to have more elegance to your life, but I also want to run that clearing at the same time. So what have you made so vital about never having the elegance of living you could be choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And again, for those just joining us, this is a clearing statement from Access Consciousness. If it sounds like crazy weirdness to you, just ignore it. The information is great regardless, and believe it or not, that crazy stuff is working. Just roll with it, honey. Okay, so
And if they do want some more information about that crazy clearing statement, they can go to theclearingstatement.com, and it's fully explained there, so really easy.
cool. I hope everyone can hear my husband snoring in the next room. It's very cute.
Now,
Okay, so
Chris,
the next,
we've
yes,
had we've had a question come in.
yeah.
I experience a lot of judgment around the word elegance. Can we have a clearing around that, please? So,
Yeah, okay, so what does elegance mean to you? And I'm going to ask these questions, and I know that you guys can't necessarily respond, um, but I'm going to just ask them, and whatever comes up for you, you can think it or answer it over, and then we're going to sort of clear it and move past it. But it's like, does elegance mean to you, as I said earlier, pearl necklaces and bow ties and going to the opera or the ballet and candlelit suppers? It's like, what if that wasn't actually true? What if elegance could be the way you walk? If you have a cat in your life or one in your neighborhood, look at the way a cat walks. How elegant is that? Um, and it's not just about, for people, the way a princess walks. A girl in the country could have a very elegant walk. It's the maximum impact with the lowest amount of effort. People look at items of design that have sort of a graceful line to them or a particular shape or elegance. What if it wasn't necessarily that it was a fine or expensive thing that made it elegant, but the care and the artistry that went into the purpose of it? Again, one of my favorite things in the world is sterling silver. I collect it like crazy. And what's elegant about it to me is so many things. It adds to my life in so many ways. There's the financial aspect of what it adds to me by, it actually tricked me into having more money. Because there's a tool that Gary Douglas suggests people use to have more money in their life called your 10% account, where of every dollar that comes into your life, you put 10% away and you never spend it. It's like tithing to the church of you. And I've always in my life been really good at creating money, but I was never all that willing to have it. So I fooled myself into having it by buying silver. Because I would look around one day and I realized, wow, I have a lot of silver. And I started adding up what it was actually all worth. And I went, wow, I actually have about $50,000 worth of sterling in my house. That's not someone who has no money. So there's that element of the elegance of it, what it adds to my life in terms of my wealth and my finances. The other aspect is all of it is purpose designed. So there will be, in my set of flatware, of course, there's the butter knife and the dinner knife and the soup spoon and the salad spoon or fork and the dessert fork and all of those things. But then there's all these other implements that are designed to serve whatever you're serving to the greatest effect, whether that be the long olive spoon that is perfectly sized to the bowl to pick up an olive and have all the brine drip away, and the pick that was for butter, And at the time that people were using this sort of flatware and serving butter, how cold your butter was a measure of your wealth. Refrigeration wasn't a thing at the time, or was extraordinarily expensive. So being able to keep your butter cold and on ice meant you had money. And so to serve it, it was cut in individual pats, and you would fork a piece and put it on everyone's individual plate. That was how butter was done at the time. So to me, that is elegant. These things have been designed on purpose to best serve and honor what it is that you're offering your guests, or doing for yourself at a meal, or however it's being used. You know, that's just another way that it is elegant in my estimation, if we're looking at it from that point of view of the greatest impact with the lowest amount of effort. So everything we've bought about elegance, and everywhere you've decided what it is and what it isn't, can we destroy and uncreate all that? Cool. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. The other thing is, in terms of, like, I'm looking at these different tips that we could use to have more elegance in our life, is how can you use your money to create more? So, you know, it doesn't have to be about having $50,000 worth of silver in your house. What if you went out, the cat's saying hello, but he's elegant too. What if it was about going to the shops, if you've got a little antique shop or something near you, and finding a spoon that you just think's really cute and wonderful and you love it, and you can add that to your morning ritual, or a teacup, and that, you know, $30 to $50 investment every week or every fortnight, you know, it can add up, and eventually you open the cupboard and you look at all these things that you really adore individually, and they make up this whole, and you've got all these pieces that are wonderful and elegant, and eventually you can lay that grand table for you and your partner, or you and some friends, or just you, and it's a beautiful experience with quirky little vases and teacups and cutlery and crystal glasses. You know, it's like, it always blows my mind that you can go to someplace like IKEA or a modern furniture store and buy something that just doesn't last. There's, you know, that's, again, there's no elegance in how it's created. You have to put it together yourself, first of all, which I can never understand, and then it just falls apart. It's not meant to last. They even advertise that. Some of those furniture stores, they try and get you to buy new again each spring, throw things out and buy it again. What I've noticed with a lot of antiques, talk about elegance, is usually you buy it once, and like, I look around our house and I go, wow, I can see the things that I have now lasting for another 100 years. And like the piece of furniture behind me that I just got at Christmas time, already it's 250 years old. And did I spend an incredible amount of money on it? Actually, no. I recognized it when I saw it, and it didn't have to cost me a lot of money. There's a lot of people, like going back to what I said earlier about a great trick to finding bargains, is that in every antique store there's something way overpriced and something way underpriced. Go and look for the bargain. Look for what is going to make you money. What's at the local thrift store? What is your aunt or grandmother or mother ready to let go of that actually is worth some money, or will appreciate into more money? Do we have any more questions coming in?
I've got one. It kind of expands a little bit on the judgment around the word elegance. How many people have looked at what this reality has decided elegance is, or defined elegance is, and you know that may be the fine china and the silverware and that side of things, and they're not willing to have that for whatever reason. Like they may not even find it beautiful for themselves. So is there an elegance that it's an elegance of living that you're talking about here? and so many people do get stuck on the silver and those physical aspects of it.
Yeah.
Can you, now that we've got a lot more people on the call, just go back over that definition of elegance and how that can apply to living as well as just, over and above the things you have in your home?
Yeah. Well, to answer, there's a couple things in what you've just said, because one of the things that occurred to me is for a lot of people, it's their point of view about money that stops them from having more elegance in their life. If you actually don't really like money, whether you're willing to acknowledge that or not, that can have a big impact on what you're willing to have in your life as well, aside from just your finances. But again, with the sort of way I look at elegance as being the maximum impact with the lowest amount of effort, it's not really about money. But if your point of view about money is negative, or you don't really like it, or you think it's dirty, or you think it's wrong, it's like if you ask yourself, what's my point of view about money, and look at those sort of things that immediately come up for you, you can get that will color your perception of the other things that are regarded money. Fine bone china and sterling silver and crystal, those are what a lot of people consider the fineries of life, and there is a monetary attachment to it. But like I said, that isn't necessarily what elegance is about. Ironically, in the series of The Elegance of Living that starts next month, we're going to be going through a lot of those things so that people can recognize it, because it's also a style of living that has sort of started to disappear and dissipate, particularly in my generation and the generations coming after me. Like, say, for example, with the silver and the flatware, there aren't any companies left in the United States in particular that produce sterling silver flatware. There used to be heaps of them, and even up until the 1940s and the 1950s, that was what every family did, was they had a chest of sterling flatware, most often given as a wedding gift. But all those companies now are solely producing in stainless steel. And one of the reasons why that tradition started, where people were given a set of flatware, was it was adding to their wealth. And people knew, it was almost like a security, where people knew, I have this thing in the cupboard that if times are really bad or the economy really goes down, that's actually worth money. I can turn that into cash if it's really necessary. Not something I would ever suggest you do, but it is a possibility. So does that sort of answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, it does. And it's also like another place I see elegance of living is in the way people be in the world. And there's a lot of people in the Access Consciousness classes that are starting to actually be them, and they become an elegance of themselves as well. Yes, they start to honor themselves by the way they move, by the way they be in the world, by the way they interact with others. And that's also an elegance, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. It really is. How much easier is it to just be you as opposed to who you think you should be? And I think that's where a lot of people develop a judgment, actually, or a point of view about elegance. As we're kids, how many times did you have to go to your aunt's house or your grandma's house for dinner, and it was this really stuffy, stiff experience, and no one liked each other, and everyone was polite and stuck their pinky out with their cup, but it was actually really stiff and unpleasant experience, and we thought that's what elegance was. I say no. I say it's not just about pulling your best china and your best crystal off the shelf and start using it. It's about pulling the best of you off the shelf and starting to use it. Like I said,
Yeah.
I started this conversation this morning, and again, apologies to those who had some technical difficulties getting on. Bear with us. When I first agreed to come and work at manage the Antique Guild, I just went, no way. That's so boring. I don't want to be in a shop all day. And it's been not only the most fun I've ever had, but also it's been the easiest choice I've made in terms of, yeah, actually this is really quite natural to me. Like it's really is how I like to live and how I see as a possibility to create joy. So why not? And one of my targets with this is I love the idea that I can be instrumental in teaching people how this can be fun and easy and add to your life and add to your wealth and add. It's just amazing to me. There's a young guy came in the store not so long ago, and some of you may know this story, but he was cleaning out his garage with his mother. And there was this old black teapot that his mother was just about to throw in the bin. And he said, no, wait, Mom. I walk by this antique store every day on the way to university. Can I just take it and show it to them? And we looked at the marks, and it was instantaneous that we could see, A, it was Georgian, which for those that don't know what that means, before Queen Victoria, there was about 4 kings all called George. So we call that the Georgian period. It was Georgian, so that means it was 18th century, made in the 1700s, and sterling silver, and worth about $2,000. And she was about to throw it out. What have you got on the shelf that you don't actually know what it is? What's occurred to me is a lot of people don't know how to read a silver hallmark or a gold hallmark stamped on a ring. And know what the content of it actually is, or how to spot a fake. So those are things those are resources that I'm really excited to be able to share with people. What else is there? Train left the station.
Okay, so we've got another question come in. Can you talk about how these items have contributed to your life and living in ways you didn't expect? I know there's a story you have about the ring that you're wearing on your hand and being on a plane. You want to tell us about that one?
Yeah, well, and this is, again, there's 3 really cool things that I want everyone to take away from today's call about how to have more money in your life. And the one I've already mentioned was the 10% account. Tithe to you. Put it away so that you have it. And invest in things that you know are going to appreciate in value. The other thing is carry money on you and look like money. Dress in a way that is comfortable for your body and also makes you feel good. You're not embarrassed to walk into certain shops or restaurants. And wear jewelry that is exciting to you, makes your body sing. I've had so many little girls come into our store at the Stamford Plaza in Brisbane, and I'll let them put on a bunch of rings and a little crown, and they're just like, they're so excited. Their whole being lights up. And it's not, to them, it's not about the money of the thing. It's about, oh my God, I feel like a princess. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So, like with this ring, the story that I've told a few times to people too is, I was checking into a flight from Brisbane to Auckland, and I'd already checked in. They had my boarding pass printed and everything, and the lady at the desk said to me, "Oh my God, look at your ring. Is that worth like $100,000?" And it made me kind of giggle because it's probably worth about 10 to 12, but I said, no, it's only worth 80. And the lady went, "I'll get you a better seat." And she actually upgraded me to first class. And I hadn't said anything, I hadn't asked. She just assumed that I had a lot of money, and how she treated me changed as a result. Now, you will also create judgment. People will judge you positively for having a lot of money, and they will judge you negatively. for having a lot of money. So recognize that, and it's not about resisting and reacting to any of it or necessarily going out of your way to stir people up and try to create it, although if that's fun for you, as you wish. But it's about just recognizing it, acknowledging it, and receive it and move on. So what was the rest of that question?
So the question was, how do these items contribute to your life and living in ways you didn't expect? So like that plain one. Is there any other?
Yeah, like I said, I want other people to look at this too, but have a look at times in your life when you bought something that you thought was too expensive. And you were like, wow, this is a lot for me to be investing. I remember a few years ago, I invested in my the chest of flatware that I have now because it was just so beautiful. And I had the opportunity to buy it from scrap. Someone was selling it for the cost it would have cost to melt it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a really good opportunity. And so I jumped on it, even though it kind of pushed me out in terms of what it cost me. I think at the time it was $2,000 for this set of flatware. And over the last few years, I've added to it, not because of the investment, but because it's fun. And I look at it and I go, oh, I don't have oyster forks in my pattern. I'll get those. Oh, I don't have the iced tea and parfait spoons. I must get those. And oh, I've only got bouillon spoons. I need gumbo soup spoons and cream soup spoons. At this point, I have the largest collection in that particular pattern by that maker of anywhere I've seen or found. And the closest set I've seen to it was retailing for $14,000. Now, I bought mine for $2,000. And again, it made me look at it and go, wow, that's a bit of an appreciation. I guess that was a good investment. Granted, it was an amazing time to buy it when someone was willing to sell it at scrap. But hey, what about for you? Who do you have? Is someone in your family going to die and you're going to inherit things? What if you were the one in the family who knew what the things were worth and could be instrumental then in divvying it up or not selling it off to the local pawn shop or antique dealer for next to nothing? So yeah, honestly, it continues. These things continue to contribute to me every day in so many different ways. It astounds me, nonstop.
Awesome.
So I mentioned two things that are tips to having more money in your life: the 10% account, and then carrying things of value on you, looking like money, carrying money. There's a different way you walk in the world if you have money in your wallet versus no money in your wallet. And it's the same with what you're wearing on your body. If you have, a pair of diamond studs in your ear or something like that, those things have an energy, and they make you feel different, and they make other people look at you differently. It changes things. The other thing that is one of the greatest tools, and it's kind of what this series is going to be all about, is educating yourself about money and about what things are and what things are worth and what that can create for you. Like the example I gave earlier of that little salt dish by that important early London maker, the difference in it being sold for $150 to $1,500 was knowing what it was and being willing to do a little bit of homework, to reading a book or an article and finding out about it can add so much to your life and so much to your finances. I can tell you stories till the cow comes home about that. I was at an auction in Sydney not all that long ago, and I was there to buy a couple things in particular, and this vase came up, this glass vase, and they called it at the auction, and tangent here, but we're going to do, in one of the series we're going to do as well, I'm going to give you the foolproof guide to auctions, because I remember going to my first auctions and being intimidated. But I can give you some inside information about how auctions really work that can also create some money for you and be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
But this vase came up, and they called it a good, possibly French Art Deco vase. And I actually wasn't really paying attention to it. I was there to buy other things. But it came up, and I thought, geez, it's not bad. And no one else was bidding. An opening bid, I think, was $70. So I went, sure. And I took it because it sort of jumped at me a little bit. I got it home, and I was looking at it, and at just the right angle, you could see the signature. And it was made by René Lalique. Now, for those of you who don't know René Lalique, he was probably France's most famous glass and crystal designer, and particularly in the 1920s and the Art Nouveau period. He made jewelry as well for actresses like Bernhardt. He was incredible. This vase that I bought for $60 was an original that he had actually made. Now, the company still exists, they still produce things, but he's long dead. It's just a brand now, and they continue to produce some of his old designs. But this was made by him. And I sold it at actually a very reasonable price of $2,000. But no one else had done the homework of, oh wait, it's signed. And we often assume places, yeah, right? But we assume, oh, well, they're auctioneers, they're professionals. They know more than I do. But the truth of the matter is, especially with auctions, just to give you a tidbit, they're too busy. They can have some grandmother die, and they get an estate of 700 items that they have to sift through and catalog and photograph and get online and get ready for auction in not that much time. They might not have a great deal of time to actually go through. I look at auction catalogs all the time, and I have a little giggle because so many of the descriptions are wrong. Like, I can plainly see that what they've called it isn't correct. So educating yourself on money is the difference between knowing and not knowing what something really is and what it's really worth. In one of the Facebook groups, I posted an image of this. It's still to this day one of the most exquisite silver wine jugs that I've ever seen. And when I first would have received it in our store to now, what I can see in it is so different based on what I now know. And I'm going to show you guys all this, but there's so many different techniques that have gone into the creation of the object, and the awareness of those help to heighten your sensitivity to the objects and what you see in each thing. And we'll do the same with jewelry through the series of looking at a ring and going, okay, well, is it channel set? Is it bezel set? Is it pave set? Is it rub over set? What's the carat of the gold? Is it platinum? Is it, going through all those things and knowing a little bit about the construction of it and thereby the quality.
Awesome.
Cool?
Yeah. So Sean's asking, where are great places to find hidden bargains?
Okay. A good friend of mine in Sydney is Alan Landis. And Alan Landis is one of the, I'm not saying go to his shop, though you should, it's awesome, but I'm not saying he's the place for bargains. But Alan Landis is one of the world's top experts on English china. And he knows his Worcester and his Wedgwood and his Doulton like nobody I've met. When he got married, Wedgwood produced a plaque with him and his wife's name on it and sent it to him. Sir Wedgwood sent it to him. He knows his stuff.
No.
And what he said to me was, if you want to find great English porcelain, go to a furniture dealer. Because he invariably has something in there that he doesn't know what it is. So that is a good place to go. I'm always looking. You can find amazing things at yard sales, at thrift stores, at you never know where they're going to pop up. I look on eBay, I look on auctions, I look everywhere. And I'm always willing to pay full price for something that I love. Because to me, it's never always about buying below what it's worth on the market value. It's about what it will contribute to my life. Do you know what I mean? Like the the name card holders, for those of you who were on the story, I just bought these name card holders for the dining table. It's not about whether I'll have 12 to 24 people to dinner. It's not, it's just the joy that it brings me of looking at them. There are lots of tips that I can show you as well about where to find things at auction or at a bargain. But say, for example, I don't often find a bargain at places like Christie's or Sotheby's because they're the top of the market and they generally have done more of their homework, but not always. The way to find a bargain is to have more awareness. That's honestly, that's it, because stuff is out there. And every time I assume that, say for example with our shop, every time I assume that I've got the best in Brisbane, someone calls me with a dining set that they want to sell that was their grandmother's and they have no idea what it is, and sure, if you'll take it off my hands for $100, that would be great. And it might be, you know, a piece of furniture from the 1800, like 1810. I had a guy show us a dining set from 2 weeks ago. No idea of its value. So really, having an idea is where you get the bargains. Knowing what something really is worth.
Awesome.
Any other questions out there?
And also, Sean says, thank you so much. Are you going to offer a valuation service, maybe in-store valuations?
Yes, we will in the future. I'll tell you what, though, to be totally honest, I personally think it's unethical to value things that you sell yourself. It would be a bit like an auctioneer saying, this cup is worth $10 to $20, and then going to his own auction and buying it for $10 to $20, knowing that it's actually worth $200 to $300.
Yeah.
I don't believe in valuing things that you sell, but we will be registered to value things that people bring in anonymously.
Right.
Word to the wise for those of you out there doing that, I would always get a third-party valuer. I recently had a friend buy 2 very big strands of pearls and spent thousands on them. And the friend had showed me these pearls and said, are they worth it? Because if these are really what they claim they are, they're a bargain. And I said, yeah, if they are what they claim they are, they're a bargain, but they don't look like it. And the shop that sold them produced a valuation saying these are cultured South Sea Baroque pearls, which means something that we'll talk about later. I'm going to teach you all about pearls because it's a whole interesting world. And I looked at them and I went, that's not right. But the certificate of authenticity came from the vendor who sold them. I took them to 3 independent valuers, and all of them said, these are fresh water. These are only worth, if I'm being generous, $900. Big difference.
Big difference, indeed.
So yes, we will do valuations. I will help people look at things. Part of the series of the call, I'm going to have people send in images of what they have at home and step you through the process that I take to do my own homework. Because the other thing about value and valuations is it's a construct. So totally subjective. When I first got into the business of selling jewelry, I took the same pair of earrings to 4 valuers in town. And everyone came up with a wildly different estimation of their worth, some even with a different idea of what they were made out of.
Wow.
So knowing yourself, what it is the big difference. I recently had a customer call me very angry because they bought a pair of earrings for not a great deal of money, but we had marked them and sold them based on this professional gemologist's estimation of them. And she had called them 9-karat gold. Well, they'd worn them for 2 weeks, and the gold plating started to flake off.
Oh.
So obviously, you return the money and you say, I'm very sorry. We called them based on this professional's opinion. But the moral of the story is, with the professionals in the field too, it is a point of view. It is actually largely subjective. And even their scientific tests to qualify what the item is, they make mistakes, or they're too busy to really pay attention to too many things. So that's
Indeed.
my yeah. But just to go back a little bit, when I took that one piece of jewelry to 4 different valuers, and I know we're going over time here, but people had some trouble getting on, so we'll go over the hour a little bit. I didn't go back and use the valuer who gave the highest price on the item. I used the valuer who actually was closest to correct of what the item really was. It's no good to have everything bloated in price and called more valuable than it really is, because that doesn't create a future relationship with whoever's buying the item from you, or that can cause all kinds of trouble later.
Absolutely. Now, Chris, one of the things that you taught me to do since you've been working with me for a while, and one of the things that you said to me quite early on was, what do you know? And what using the Access Consciousness tool, the light and heavy tool. Can you talk a little bit about that just as we're closing up the call, just to give people a really, really useful tool for creating.
Okay, I'm going to tie that in a little bit to some of the homework that I have for the people that are coming on to the series. And part of that homework is, I want you to go out and find out what is exciting for you. What do you like? And go to a local jeweler, pawn shop, antique store, whatever it is that sort of calls to you, and see what you like. What do you have an affinity for? I particularly like sterling silver, but do you? My partner and I are quite different. I love silver, and he likes it. He also really likes it and knows a lot about it. We both love crystal and buy a lot of crystal, but he loves China, whereas I like it, but I don't love it. I don't see it the way he sees it. If we talk about porcelain, he'll come on and tell you, because his enthusiasm for it and what he's willing to know about it is amazing. And he'll bring something home, and I'll say, so what do you see in that? What is it about that that's so exciting for you? So again, go to one of these shops, see what you have an affinity for, and ask the stuff to show you. Are you worth more than I'm paying for you? Will you make me money? Is what the vendor's telling me true? Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? Thing is, one of the sort of truths that I go by in the universe is, if it's heavy, it's a lie, and if it's light, it's true. If it feels light for you, great, run with it. And like I say, ask the item, will this make me money? So yeah, so there's that. And again, to recap on the homework aspect of the call, I would love people to go to a shop near them and find out what it is that they would like to know more about. And the other thing is, see what you've got at home. And if you can, take some pictures and send them in, and we'll start to go through them with you, and I'll show you a little bit about how to learn about it. And it doesn't have to be just in the areas we've talked about. It can be another object. Like I've got this beautiful Chinese cloisonne bowl.
Wow.
And to me, these sort of items become even more beautiful if you know how they're made. So we can go through that as well. Yeah, so that's your homework. Has everyone been nodding?
I'm so excited about this series, Chris, because for those of you that have just randomly found us out there in the universe and come on and are listening in, Chris is going to be running a 6-call series, and it's if you think today has been yummy, then it's how does it get even better than this? Because I know it can and it will. Chris, as he said it through the show, he's been creating resources for you that he will be giving to you through the throughout the 6-week series, if you join us, on where to find the information and what to look for. And you'll actually have little booklets that you can take away and use and create for yourselves. Create whatever you're looking to create as the elegance of living for you. And now, Chris, the series is, as I said, 6 calls. We're
Yes.
starting on the 24th of February with a boot camp
Yes.
of 2 calls, just to get us all started and all juiced up. And then we're going to do a weekly call through until the 7th of April. So
Yes, that's right. And each call, we're going to go through a different area of collecting and knowing more about each area. So we will go through silver plates, the purity of silver, what does it mean if something's sterling, and as Michelle said, I'm going to give you PDF files and sort of booklets on each topic. So by the end, you're actually going to have a manual of resources that you can use to go back to things, and I'm going to point you to some of the resources that I use and take excerpts from them. My husband, he thinks I'm hysterical because I'll be, sitting quietly in a chair at night, and he'll come to me and think I'm playing a video game or something, but realize that I'm actually reading the Sotheby's Concise Guide to Sterling Silver. That sort of thing. So I'm going to take excerpts and share those with you, and we're going to go through gold and filled gold, pinchbeck, different purities of gold, some of the gold hallmarking systems, so that you can start to identify that. We're going to go through gems. Gems is an interesting one because we're not gemologists here, and I would never trust someone who looks at a stone and immediately says, "Oh, it's a diamond." You actually need to have a better look than that, because fakes are good these days. But I can show you some of the telltale signs that something isn't real, and some of the indications of what it could be, and when you might want to get a professional to certify something. But some of the different stones, some of the rarer items that are becoming more valuable and might be good investments moving forward. We're going to look at how to identify things like the different qualities of pearls, from freshwater, saltwater, keshi, baroque, naturals, coral, amber, some of the more biogenic stones like that come from nature. We're going to look at eras of craftsmanship. We're going to look at some of your things at home that you've got that you want to know more about. We're going to, I'm willing to look at anything that you'd like as well, if you have other areas that are exciting for you. So that's
wow.
that.
Massive. And this series, the full price for it is $4.95, but you've got a special offer for those people that have come onto the taster, haven't you?
Yeah, for the taster today and for the next 2 days, anyone who would like to come along, I'm allowing them to join us for $3.95 for the 6 calls. So, and honestly, someone pointed out to me the other day who's done some of this stuff with me, and she said, "Oh, well, you'll make $395 back on the first thing that you end up buying with this, with the knowledge that you have." Will that work for you? Hey, I don't know, but could it? Absolutely.
And Chris, another question that's come in on my Skype is, so are you going to be talking about how people can then sell things once they've bought them? If they, find something that they know that's, got a higher value, where they can sell it, how they can find places to sell things, stuff like that. Is that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I'm willing to help people with anything like that if they want to know. Because just another quick story, but something really cool that happened for me is my partner and I, when we went to our first auction, we put together our change jars. We each had our change jars, and we know it's a serious relationship now because the change jars have merged. Just sharing. But we put together all of our spare change, and we had $500 there in ready money. So we went, okay, let's go to this auction and we'll invest $500. And we'd never been to an auction before, and it was exciting for us. So we went and we bought, I think, 10 lots for the $500. They averaged $50 each. Some were 90, some were 20. Fluctuated. We turned that $500 in less than 6 months into $3,000.
Nice.
Then we turned that $3,000 into $6,000. Then we turned that, and it keeps rolling and going. So to me, it's one of the most fun things. If you're interested in becoming a dealer, so to speak, I can teach you what to do and how to do it. But again, the trick to being able to do that is knowing what something is worth and knowing when it's selling for a lot less than what you actually could sell it for. Because value, as I said before, it's a construct. What's valuable to me and what's valuable to you, totally different things. I see those porcelain Ladro figurines and those Royal Dalton figurines of the girls in ball gowns, and I would like to buy them just so that I can put them on the front lawn with a golf club and whack them across the yard. That would be fun for me. That's what they're worth. But I'm willing to look at them and go, okay, so that actually is valuable to somebody else. If I bought it for $20 and they actually usually go for $150, sure, I can make money on that.
Cool, cool. Well, this has been amazing, Chris. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you.
What else is possible? So anybody that would love to come and play on the series, then theeleganceofliving.com/series, and you can sign up there. And as Chris said, you know, if you sign up, register and pay by the end of the 17th of January, then you can have that for just $395 instead of $495. So what could that extra $100 create in your buy and sell box?
You could go buy a Ladro figurine and smash it. Sorry, it's just I don't like them. My mother-in-law has so many too. Oh. But don't tell her I said that. You'll be in so much trouble. What else was I going to say? There was something. Oh, the replay of this call. Can people play this back again? How does that work?
Absolutely, absolutely. We will have a on the free taster page. We will have this call embedded, and people will be able to watch it there. And we'll send out that link to all of those that have registered, and they'll be able to see it.
Yeah, because I know there were hundreds of people that registered for this, but there were some technical difficulties. So if you missed the beginning as well, you can come back on and watch it anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you, Chris, and I am so looking forward to the series. How does it get even better than this?
All right.